لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم محمد رسول الله والذين معه أشداء على الكفار رحماء بينهم تراهم ركعا سجدا يبتغون فضلا من الله ورضوانا سيماهم في وجوههم من أثر السجود ذلك مثلهم في التوراة ومثلهم في الإنجيل كزرع أخرج شطأه فآزره فاستغلظ فاستوى على سوقه يعجب الزراع ليغيظ بهم الكفار وعد الله الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات منهم مغفرة وأجرا عظيما صدق الله العظيم. My dear respected brothers, elders, listeners, the verse of the Holy Quran that I recited is the final verse of Surah Al-Fath, which is in Para 26, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions about the great qualities of the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all these qualities also. The month that we are in, Dhul Hijjah, not long ago, just a few days, we remember one of the great companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, because he was martyred in this month on the 18th of Dhul Hijjah. His name was Uthman radiyallahu anhu. In this short time that I have, I will share with you the brief biography of Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu. And from amongst the many beautiful qualities that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given him, one quality to try and shed some light on this. The reason when we hear about the blessed companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, our love for them increases when we hear about them. When we hear about their sacrifices, monetary sacrifices, when we hear about the love of the Quran they had, for the Quran they had, when we listen about how much Quran they recited day and night, when we listen at how their character was with the Muslims, and how generous they were towards the Muslims, and how they had excelled in their tijara and in their business, and how they had donated towards expanding the masjid of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu is a unique companion of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So much so we find in the books of hadith, the muhaddiseen have collected a number of ahadith on the virtues of Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu. So he was martyred on the 18th of Dhul Hijjah in this month. Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu was born 6 years after Amal Fil. He was a few years younger than Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Sayyidina Uthman Ghani radiallahu anhu was very handsome, broad shoulders, not too tall, not too short, a very thick beard. Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu, before accepting Islam, neither did he worship any idols or drink alcohol. Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu was from the early Muslims. And how he accepted Islam was the da'wah of Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, and he immediately accepted this message. He was from those companions that migrated twice. One, the first migration, the Muslims, the difficulties they faced in Makkah al-Mukarramah, where Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu, along with his wife Hazrat Ruqayya radiallahu anha, they went and migrated to Abyssinia, Ethiopia. The second migration was to Madinatul Munawwara. Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu, not only the companion of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but also his son-in-law. He was given the title Dhin Nurayn, which means the two lights. Why was he given this title of two lights? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had married his eldest daughter Hazrat Ruqayya radiallahu anha to Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu. They lived a life, they migrated to Ethiopia and came, and then they went to Madinatul Munawwara. And at the time when the Battle of Badr took place, Uthman radiallahu anhu was ready to go with the Muslims. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to Uthman radiallahu anhu, stay back because your wife is ill. Take care of her. And it will be like you have participated in the Battle of Badr. So much so that you would even receive a share. Uthman radiallahu anhu remained back. And during this time, Hazrat Ruqayya radiallahu anhu had passed away. It was such a son-in-law, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then thereafter gave his second daughter Kulthum radiallahu anha to Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu. He married Kulthum, they lived a life in Medina, and after some years she had also passed away. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned, if I had a third daughter, I would have given her to Uthman radiallahu anhu, because of his unique character. So he was given the title that no one else had this privilege that had two daughters of a prophet, apart from Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu. His khilafah was the longest. We know from the hadith where Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam has mentioned the khilafah will be for 30 years. Uthman radiallahu anhu's khilafah was 12 years and some days. From amongst the khalifas, his khilafah was the longest. And he was very wealthy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had blessed him with a lot of wealth. But he spent this wealth for the welfare benefit of the Muslims. When the Muslims went to Madinatul Munawwara, it was difficult for them to get the water from Bi'r Ruma. Uthman radiallahu anhu purchased this. When the Masjid, Madinatul Munawwara, Masjid al-Nabawi, was not enough to accommodate for the worshippers for their prayer, it was Uthman radiallahu anhu that had paid towards the extension of the masjid. The compiling of the Quran in a book form was started at the time of the Khilafah of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. But his Khilafah mostly was the shortest 2 years and some months. And this went in many fights, battles. A lot of people opposed. People refused to give zakat. And these 2 years of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, maybe not even a day or night that he had rested in peace. Continuous in his khilafah. And the age that he was, 61 at such an age also. So the compiling of the Quran started during his khilafah, and then Uthman radiallahu anhu had completed it. And his Khilafah lasted 12 years and some months. And then there were some rebels from Egypt that came and attacked Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anh in his home. The companions were ready to defend him, but he said, I do not want bloodshed amongst Muslims because of me. This is a Khalifa. He did not want bloodshed because of him, and they stopped the water. They did not allow him to go to Masjid al-Nabawi. And Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anh, he was reading the Quran. What he would read day and night, the Quran. And he was martyred in such a state. At the age, some say 82 and some say 88 years old. Jubair ibn Mut'im radiallahu anh led the funeral prayer of Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anh. His sacrifices for deen, as I mentioned in the books of hadith, we find number of hadiths that mention about the virtues of Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anh. But one unique quality which Uthman radiallahu anh had, from amongst all the beautiful qualities, was haya and was modesty. Let us just take this much for today, if we can take this with us, and try and have this beautiful quality of haya and modesty. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has mentioned, Al-haya'u shu'batun min al-iman. Haya and modesty is a shu'bah, is part of iman. This is in Bukhari and Muslim. Modesty. In one narration, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was sitting in a place where he was relaxed sitting. Abu Bakr radiallahu anh came and he remained how he was. Umar radiallahu anh came, he was granted permission, he remained how he was. Uthman radiallahu anh came, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam stretched his garment more lower. And he said, should I not do this where the angels are modest of Uthman radiallahu anh? A time where Uthman radiallahu anh in the battlefield, he was going forward and his chest was bare, yet this is not part of the satar, the aura. And the angels were there, but they stepped back because of how modest Uthman radiallahu anh was. And this is where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned that should I not be modest of who the angels are modest of? Haya, Arabic word in Urdu is the same what we say. Modesty is part of iman. Now this is something that we can see which we are lacking. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us. And just while we're on this topic, a few important points I would like to share with you at the topic of modesty and haya. Now as we know, it's the summer months. Some may disagree with me and say we've not really had a summer. Well, we can all agree that we've had a few hot days, and inshallah there may be still some to come. And what happens during hot days? Some of us may wear shorts. Usually people do dress in a manner, either if they're going to the gym, swimming, holiday, or if it's a hot day. Whether it's a hot day, it's a cold day, we always will put the laws that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set first. And the awra is an Arabic word. Linguistically means to cover those parts which would be a person would be shameful to show in front of others. So the Sharia, the Islamic law, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made fard, is that the satar, the private area, must be covered, which is from the belly button all the way, including the kneecap. Within the four Imams, there's some differences. Some say it's till the end of the thigh. According to Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, the satar, your kneecap is included. Meaning, to cover this is fard. If your kneecap is showing and you pray namaz in a state, your namaz will not be done. You'll be continuously sinning. This area, no other male, a man in front of another man, cannot show this area. This is part of satar. It's fard, compulsory. Sometimes we think when it's namaz time, I'll make some adjustments, put a jubbah on, qameez on, the satar is covered. When we finish namaz, take the jubbah off and we think it's fine now. To cover the satar in namaz is fard, is a condition, and outside namaz is also fard. A person, one cannot go in front of his own mother in such a state. This is haya. This is what we learn. This beautiful quality of Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu. That to cover this is fard. So those during the hot weather, if they decide to wear shorts, then the first thing they have to see is my satar covered or not? If these shorts are not covering your satar, then they're not worth anything, but we're going to get sin. It's haram. So you could get shorts which are long, that cover the kneecap also, 3/4. They go more down below, that is fine. Anything that is below that and the thigh is not even covered, then it's haram. You cannot wear this. Whether at work, whether in front of your sisters, in front of your mother, even home. And let alone sometimes we're praying namaz in such a state, na'udhu billah. The namaz will not be done. While we're on this topic, then we have the other issue where brothers will come in wearing t-shirts, and the t-shirts may be tight, and they go down into ruku, and without realizing the t-shirt goes up. Now the lower back is showing. This is part of satar also, is fard. If this is shown in namaz, you're there into ruku, into sajda, your namaz will not be done. By the time you get up, it's long enough that the namaz prayer is invalid, it will not count. A person comes to the masjid, travels, comes in the car a few miles away, has ghusl, tries to do his best, and then because of not knowing the rulings, fails in this matter, the namaz is not valid. The rulings of Sharia do not change according to the weather. Allah's made deen easy for us to practice. But if we break these laws and rules because it's hot, and it does not make much of a difference, just we have to make sure that it's covered. It would be haram even in front of another male, cannot look. So we must keep these rulings in mind. As I was mentioning about Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu, the beautiful qualities that he had, exceptional. From these, one which is highlighted and mentioned a lot is about his haya and his modesty. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us modesty also, because this is part of our iman. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all the ability to understand what we have heard, to spread this unto others and to act upon it. Ameen.